All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Channing. Those of you who don't know me, I am from Rain Games. I am Andrea's husband. We are the dynamic duo that runs that shop, those two shops. And today I'm going to be doing a presentation called Hit by a Bus, also known as oh my gosh, that's a disaster. Disaster Management 101. This is a presentation that I saw at Gamma many years ago, given by Eric Bigglestone. And he's done it a number of times, and with his blessing, I have emulated his presentation and updated a bit, and got his blessings on that. So here we go. We're going to do this. Next slide. Everybody having a good show so far? Hopefully everybody's having a good time. Hopefully you guys are learning a lot. Lots to learn here. Lots of good presentations this year. And let's go through this. So again, I am Channing. I am ex-military many, many years ago. I also worked for a big Ritz-Carlton hotel in the Caribbean many, many years ago. So that's kind of my background. Do you have any notes here? Oh, yeah. Why should you listen to me? Okay, so my wife and I are also Gamma Power Retailer Award winners. We won an award a couple of years ago for Best Design Store. Not super important for disaster management, but we've got some insight. Our stores, we have 2 stores. And when we first started, we only had 1 store with 4 employees. 2 of those employees being my wife and myself. And our revenue was about $500,000 for that first year. Now we are finishing our 9th year this year, and our last year we were about 2.5 for revenue. And we have 17 employees. So we've figured out a way to make this kind of work. So that's maybe why you should listen to me. Maybe you shouldn't, because sometimes I'm an idiot, but who knows? Before we go any further, I noticed some people were taking pictures of my wife's slides from her show. I'm just going to point out, on our website, if you go to www.raincity.games/gamma, all of our presentations that we give at Gamma or here at Canada Plays, our slide decks are up there as well, so you can always access those. And I believe, just like last year, they're going to make these videos available online, and they might make the slide decks available online as well. So by all means, take pictures if you want to. You might not need to, is all I'm saying. Okay, here we go. Hit by a Bus is all about future-proofing your store. Identifying what kind of weird hazards can happen that can affect your store in very critical ways. How to protect against them. A big chunk of this presentation is going to be all about documentation, or SOPs, standard operating procedures. Making sure you have them. It's an important thing for your store. Our first year, we didn't have any. I don't think until I saw Eric's presentation, we didn't even think about writing SOPs, which is weird because I was in the military for a long time, and SOPs are a big thing in the Army too. And I just never connected the dots. And it's a super important thing for your business. So here we go. Did it go? Didn't go. Whoops, wrong button. We're going to start with a cautionary tale. There was a retailer named Rory Root who opened a really iconic comic store, Comic Relief, in Berkeley, California. He was the first Eisner Award winner for retail in a comic store. He received that award in 2008. 3 years later, he suffered a heart attack. He did not have a will, despite the fact that he wanted his store to go to his manager. Because he didn't have a will and he didn't have a lot of documentation for his store, his family took over the store. 3 years later, 2011, the store closed for good. It can happen, right? We're all human. Anything can happen. So this cautionary tale is the genesis of Eric, who also has a store in Berkeley. This is kind of what spurred him on to come up with the Hit by a Bus presentation. End of days. What kind of crisis could massively impact or affect your business? Here's a list. At the top, health issues for you or your staff. This last 2 years, Rain City Games has had an employee, one of our managers, great employee. He had to miss 9 months because of medical issues. That's a huge problem. You have to figure out how to do that. Are you prepared to deal with an employee suddenly not disappearing, but being unavailable for a good length of time? Do you have something in your plans to deal with that? How would you deal with that? Have you thought about that? We've got a whole bunch of other ones. Mass staff departure, legal issues, data loss could be a huge problem for you. Power outages. This is a much simpler one to have to deal with. Power outage, internet outage, services outage. Major service provider. If Amazon Web Services goes down and that's running Shopify or whatever, are you prepared? How are you going to make sales for the day? I mean, you could just close up shop for the day, sure, but you could also have a plan in place and maybe you can keep making sales. Important things to think about for your business. Having a toolkit, making sure you have the things you need to prepare and be prepared for potential disasters. Physical resources, off-site backups. When we say off-site backups too, having important operational documents for certain things, having duplicate keys for your doors, for your mailboxes, for your safe. Have that with a family member that you trust or a friend that you trust with instructions of what to do and how to do it in case you're not there, in case you get hit by a bus. It's an important thing to think about. Log where you keep your display case keys. Log where you keep keys for a vehicle if you have a company vehicle. Make sure that somebody you trust has access and can take over if needed. Because if you're in the hospital for 3 months in a coma, who's doing the ordering? Who's paying the bills? Is your store just going to stagnate and die for 3 months? That's not a good plan for success. Physical resources, right? What resources are accessible without you being there? Label everything, first of all. If you do not have a label maker in your store, get one. So useful. Get bins, clear plastic bins. I mean, we use label maker in our store for all sorts of things. Magic promo prizing bin. Yep, that's got a label in the back room. Offsite event kit. That's got a label in the back room. If somebody needs to go and find something, they're instructed where to go find it. It's really easy to go find it if it's labeled. Retailer lockboxes is what this thing is if you're unfamiliar. That is a retailer lockbox. We have a couple in our store. They're super useful. If I have, and they're for certain levels, if I have staff that only should have access to this room, or if I have staff that have access to this room and the safe, there's a different lockbox there. They can go get the key for the safe if they need to, if it's a manager, right? I don't know if any of you use these things in your store. We do. Super useful. I hope you all have a cash safe in your store. Yes. Hopefully everybody does. Document safe's also a useful thing to have in your store. Or in our case, we don't actually have this in our store. We have it at home, our document safe, but a somewhat secure place to keep things like your employee records, any insurance provider, your current lease could be in there. Okay. And you could, of course, keep that in your store as well. Just make sure that you have the right employees have access to it via key or code or what have you. One thing I will say with a cash safe, if you do have a cash safe, I hope you all do, like we said, hopefully you've got a cash safe with a deposit slot if you're doing cash deposits into the safe at the end of the night, and then some manager or you is taking those deposits to the bank at some point. Much easier to have if you get one with a deposit slot. Carrying on. More physical resources, things to prepare for daily disasters. Security camera is always a good thing in your store, not just for security, but just for things like, what the hell did we sell that's on that shelf that we did not restock? I use it goddamn every day. Hey, what was there? We got to go restock that. Somebody forgot to restock that. What was it? There was 20 things we just sold. It could be one of those things. What is it? Security cameras are helpful for that. An alarm system. If you're going to have an alarm system, it's good to maybe test your alarm system regularly, maybe once a year. Our alarm system came with the option to have a call list. Who should they call first? We're in a mall. Our big store is in a mall. Please call our mall security first so they can get on site immediately. Then call us. Then call the cops, right? And every year I test it because the very first year that I tested it, what happened? First of all, the alarm company let it ring for 5 minutes without doing anything. Then they called me. No, you're supposed to call security first. What the hell? So it's important to test your security system sometimes and make sure that everything is working the way you intend it to work. Fire extinguishers. Please have those in your store and get them checked regularly. Fire extinguishers expire, so to speak, after a year or two or a couple of years. No good having a fire extinguisher that's expired that might not work when you need it. First aid kit, of course. Restock it, replenish it as often as you need to. Check it every now and then. Make sure that, people are going to use it. Your staff, your customers are going to need things out of there. Restock it and replenish it whenever needed. Backup point of sale system. We have an off-site event kit for when we go to a convention or what have you in our store. It's in a bin. It's labeled. Labels. And in there, we have a backup point of sale system. If our point of sale system goes down, if Lightspeed goes down because Amazon went down or whatever, the internet went, well, maybe not the internet, but for some reason, if Lightspeed goes down, our staff knows that they can go get the Square terminal from the offsite event kit and they can keep making sales. I want to keep making sales, yay, capitalism. Backup computer peripherals. That could include having backup, keyboard or mouse somewhere in case something fails. Having backup barcode scanners, hopefully not as big as that one. Look how big that thing is. What is he scanning? An entire pallet at one go? I don't know where I found that picture, but that's crazy. But yeah, having backup computer peripherals is handy and useful. A backup receipt book. I think most of my staff are so young now that they don't understand the purpose of the backup receipt book. They know where it is, and there's instructions on how to use it, but they look at me like I got three heads when I say, go grab the receipt book if, power goes out or whatever, and they got to make sales by hand, cash sales by hand. Okay, so there's some physical resources you should have in your store or could have in your store. Having a crash kit, having something behind the counter, hopefully with a binder inside of it, with some SOPs, basic SOPs, also maybe your employee handbook, or at least chunks of the employee handbook, maybe not the whole thing. In our store, we have a living employee handbook on a Google Drive, but key parts of the employee handbook can be found, physical copies of, in our crash kit, with some basic operating SOPs, how to operate the till, how to do this, how to do that. For key situations, there's also some specific SOPs in there. If the power goes out, if the internet goes out, natural disaster, what have you. There's also a laminated sheet with employee contact information, and that needs to be updated regularly as you get new employees. That way, your staff can easily contact each other with, if local cell provider goes out and they can't access their app anymore, how are they going to contact? Well, they can use the landline, but nobody knows anybody's phone numbers. Now they do, right? Also having something accessible in there like first aid kit and flashlight, super useful. Helps to be able to see. And yeah, don't forget to regularly check that the kit is up to date. It doesn't do you any good to have a crash kit that doesn't have the correct information or doesn't have the things stocked in there that you need to have stocked in there. Password managers. Do you guys use password managers? Bitwarden or LastPass or something like that? Super useful. Every goddamn account we have so many accounts now. Different login information, different passwords. Gets to be a nightmare to keep track of everything. For all of your, your Google accounts and your supplier accounts and your social media accounts and your utilities accounts, stick it all in a password manager. It makes it way easier. We use Bitwarden, and Bitwarden has a plugin in Chrome, so it can, remember your passwords for you, so you don't have to. That's great. We make sure we put things in there, not just vendor accounts and the websites for those vendors, but things like if there's terms conditions, so that if somebody else needs to do some ordering and they need to go to Asmodee and figure out, they can go into our Bitwarden, and if they have the password, obviously, they can get into Bitwarden and find out who our rep is, what his account details are, when he's having dinner at 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. in Montreal, so we can call him at 3, like I always do, and interrupt his dinner. And any terms or anything like that, we keep that in there. Lots of useful stuff you can keep in a password manager. And again, ensure you have someone you trust external to your organization, friend, family, whatever, who has access to this information. Even if they never need to use it, it's good to have them have it. Searchable documentation. Again, we use Google Drive in our store for a lot of things and you can just search for a spreadsheet of something if you need. We keep digital resources like our key log. This is, in fact, our key log. This says which employee has which keys to which store. We track that. What other keys we have in our organization, where we might be able to find them. And of course, not every employee has access to that log. Only the employees that need access to that log, but you can set that up. So yeah, keeping things easily searchable on your Google Drive, if you have a Google Drive or some other form of searchable documentation. Super useful. And if you have to hand that off to somebody, if you have to trust somebody else to do that for you, now they can do it easily. I will say with employee records and evaluations, Obviously, you want to have some of that online easily. Well, maybe not online, but you want to have it easily searchable, or what have you. But try to keep it impartial. Make sure your employee records are as impartial as can be. Important things in there as well, like how to perform owner-level operations. If somebody needs to take over for Andrea or for me, if Andrea is in a coma starting, for 3 months, starting tomorrow, I need to figure out how to do payroll. I can do that based on the documentation we can easily search on our Google Drives. I'm not saying I'd be great at it, but I can do it. Record keeping, communication, keeping things, making sure that if somebody's going to be taking over, they know that you have things like, if you have a project management software like Asana or Trello, how that operates, making sure that it's up to date, making sure that they have tasks in there that are easily accessible and understood. Having an events calendar, making sure that your events calendar is online and that it can be easily, our new events coordinator now knows how to go in there and update the events calendar and how that will update on our website. And our new events coordinator knows, if I want to set up a BattleTech event, that's easy. Easy to search, easy to find, easy to do. Making sure that you have your social media stack and corporate voice somewhere recorded online, not online, but saved online so that people know if somebody's going to be taking over your social media, kind of what your voice should be, what you want your organization to sound like and to project like, so that they can emulate that as much as possible. Yep. All right. My favorite part of this presentation, part I know from military days, standard operating procedures. Everybody's familiar with these? Basic documentation. How to do this in a standard situation. The more employees you have, the more that SOPs become important for your business. Why is that? Because if I know how to do X, Y, and Z, that's all well and good, but now I've got 7 other employees. I don't have time to do X, Y, and Z. They need to know how to do X, Y, and Z. SOPs come to the rescue. There are a couple challenges that SOPs both come with, but also combat sometimes. The first one is entropy. It's the way it's always been done, right? SOPs can kind of combat that. I don't care if this is the way it's always been done. We've changed things up. Here's an SOP. I want you to follow the SOP. This is how it works. Another one can be contradictions, which is, don't listen to the boss. This is how we've always done this. I don't care. I have an SOP written up for this now. Please follow the SOP. This is going to make it crystal clear. There's no contradictions from employee to employee. If this is the standard, this is the standard. One challenge with SOPs is time, and that's just, I'm going to get to this later. I mean, we're all going to fight that. I'm constantly having to find the time to write a new SOP. The best time to do it is as soon as you see something and you think, I need a procedure for this. I need a policy for this. Write it now. Figure it out now. Get it sorted out. Get it on paper. Then you don't have to deal with it ever again. Making sure your SOPs are not clear as mud, right? Making sure that it's easy for your employees to understand, and that your personnel can't make mistakes. Make them idiot-proof, basically. Make them Channing-proof, if you will. That's me. Another thing that this is another challenge with getting SOPs down is just you. Why should I write this down? I know how to do this. What if I get hit by a bus? That's the answer to that question right there. So this is what SOPs help you combat and fix. In our store, we have 5 tiers of SOP, although the 4th one, event coordinator, is kind of a newish one. We've just hired an event coordinator, so we're starting to group some of our SOPs into various tiers. Ideally, people of a higher tier have access to all the SOPs of the lower tier, not necessarily the other way, of course. General staff. So this is just every day working behind the counter. Some of the SOPs that they have to know how to do or have access to. How to open and close a store is a super easy one. How to do special orders in our POS. We do special orders in a weird way. We need an SOP for that. We want to make sure everybody knows how to do that correctly. How to answer questions about pricing. What's our matching policy? It's so much easier when our staff are messaging us 15 times a day. How do I do this? How do I do that? How do I do this? How do I do that? Did you check the docs? Did you check the SOPs? Come back to me after that. Send them away. They can do it. They can figure it out. Here's an example of one of our SOPs. This is exactly for our general staff. What if Lightspeed Payments goes down? That's our credit card processing machine for Lightspeed. Here you go. This is the hardware you're going to need. It looks like that. We have one of those in our crash kit. Go and find it. Step-by-step instructions for our staff. Foolproof, Channing-proof instructions for our staff to go ahead and do that. SOPs for our event coordinators could look like this. How to run paint and take events, how to run drop-in painting events, how to use the Bandai tournament organization software, which is brutal. Make these as idiot-proof as possible. You can, here's an example for how to run a Captain Sonar event. How to, what you're going to need to prep a couple days out. What kind of equipment you might need. First things you should do when you're running the event, announcements. We would like it if you would welcome our customers to our store. Things like that. Simple reminders, make it easy, make it idiot-proof. It's great. Here's some more SOP. These are all just examples of some of our SOPs that we have in our store that are searchable on our Google Drive for our staff. Here's how to, create magic singles creating a purchase order in our system for magic singles. And you can do links too, right? Here's a related document. Here, click that. Great. Now you go to the related document to another SOP. More SOPs. This guide. There you go. Super useful, super easy, idiot-proof. Great. Step-by-step instructions for your staff or you. Here's some for managers. How to deposit cash at the bank. How to do all that. The procedure we want, right? We even have them for owners. Here's some of the ones for owners. Here's our example. Profit. Okay. Final SOP tips. Please keep your SOPs up to date. Try to keep your SOPs up to date. Review them once a year, Or when you're thinking about something else and you're searching and you're re-looking over one of your SOPs, if you see something's off, fix it now. When you do fix it, let your staff know. Communicate to your staff that you've updated the SOP. Send them a memo. Whatever you need to do, make sure that they understand that the SOPs have changed. Give them a gist of what has changed. You can even link them to the new highlighted changes. Use a searchable platform like something like Gmail, Google Drive. That's the word I'm looking for. Google Drive makes it super useful. At the end of the day, that bottom part is really important. Institutional knowledge in your business needs to be documented. I forgot to totally mention it earlier. It was in one of the slides earlier, but yeah, the thing that Rory really needed in his business was a will. We should all have a will, just in case. That's all we are today. That's me. Any questions? Not as lively as last year. Any questions? No?
Yeah. I've always got a question.
Oh, jaunty.
No question. Nobody else's. I'll find something. So obviously a lot of this stuff is going to be very specific to each individual store, each individual business. Do you have any recommendations for more general stuff as like a template? Do you know of anything like that where there's stuff to kind of get you started on this kind of stuff?
God, no, I don't actually have a suggestion for that.
Well, thanks a lot.
Other than, again, going to our website and just re-looking over the slideshow and using that as a checklist. Yeah. Do I have all of these things? And I'm going to be honest with you, this is a bit more of a do as I say, not as I do presentation. There's a lot of stuff on here that Rain City Games is lacking in right now that we need to fix. And it was the exact same thing for Eric when I asked him that question years ago. He said, oh, actually, there's a lot of things I need to go and fix based on my own slideshow. And it's true. This is a constant battle. We are constantly needing to improve our stores and making sure that documentation is up to date, making sure that everything we need for emergencies is up to date. And sometimes it doesn't seem like it's worth it. Do I really need to do this? It could be, Weird stuff pops up all the time. One of those slides talked about how, a disaster could be the World Cup coming to your store, coming 2 blocks away from your store. Guess what's happening to Rain City Games in a couple months, a couple weeks? We got to figure that out. I got to get ready for that. So, any other questions? Thank you. I'm done. I'm not done. Oh, now what?
So I can see that, if you having your store SOPs for everything, you can get buried under the paperwork. You have to do something in order to make sure that you take care of the most critical SOPs first.
So does Rain City Games do something like a FMEA failure mode and effect analysis to say, okay, this is the risk, and then this is the possibility that this risk is actually going to happen. Therefore, should we deal with it, or should we just leave it, or find some other way to mitigate?
No, I wish we did. We do need to. No, we don't, and it's a valuable question. You need to make sure that you prioritize, analyze what you think is actually going to be an issue. Some of those things are like deadly. You should have this for sure. A will. Everybody should have a will that explains what happens to your business in case the worst happens. But as far as prioritizing the rest and doing that sort of triage, we don't do it. I want to do it. I need to go over my own slideshow and start to prioritize based off my own slideshow. But no, we don't at the currently we don't like triage that. Does that answer your question? Oh, another one. Oh God, I didn't get out of here.
Actually, it's not quite a question, more so specific for you, but a question to the crowd.
Sure.
Is, would it maybe be an idea, because we all need to do this, would there be a way to set up, say, like a Facebook group or something that would be specific for retailers to share our SOPs with each other, so that if we already have one, another store doesn't have to reinvent the wheel?
I think
could
that's
just
a great idea.
edit it, and then when we get some of ours ready, we put them up so that other people then don't have to, again, reinvent the wheel.
What do they say that is? Copying or emulation is or plagiarism is the greatest form of flattery.
Yeah.
We borrowed our employee handbook from Jen over there, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, I think sharing resources between us Canadian retailers would go a long ways.
Not
We
even
don't
just
always
Canadian,
have to
any
compete with
retailers.
each other, like,
You're not wrong. Again,
Yeah.
we also got some of our SOPs from Eric from Games at Berkeley. So yeah, it's absolutely a thing. There is a Canadian Facebook group for retailers that Dee was just about to jump in and talk about.
But
Yeah. So there is a retailers group. By all means, if you're not part of the Facebook retailers group, great resource, easy way to say, hey, who has this, or who where do you get this item, or where do you find this item, or who has an SOP that I could, who's got ideas on how to write this SOP? Somebody might have one, and they can give you one. Rain City Games can help you with that too. We don't mind.
If you are interested in joining that group, come see me after this lecture.
Come and see Dee after this. And once again, if you want to see our slideshow, again, I'm sure Asmodee will post the video, and they might even post our slide deck. But again, Rain City Games has it at www.raincitygame.games/gamma, GAMA. If you want any of our slideshows, you'll find them there. Any other questions? Oh, there's one over there. I see a hand up in the bright lights. I was almost out of here, I swear.
Not yet, sorry.
Not yet.
So there's something, I worked previously as a director in nonprofit. And one of the things that we always said was that it's a long time to turn a big ship. So when we're looking at updating or adding SOPs, and this is something I never quite got. So I'm just curious if you have any insight on when you are doing things like creating new ones or updating new ones, what strategies are you employing with employees to encourage them to catch on and utilize these new things more quickly?
I'm sort of frowning now because we don't really do that much. I wish I did. The smaller the organization, the easier it is to turn the ship. Absolutely. The larger the organization, much harder. I think it is very important for sure to make sure that you have employee input when you're changing your SOPs. Listen to your employees. They might have a better way to do things. Also, they might not have a better way to do things. They might be wrong. They might not have certain insights that you have as to why you do something. My wife and I will sit down and discuss before we make a change, or if I do make a change, if I go and I start modifying an SOP or writing a new one, I send it to Andrea first. Do you agree with this? Does this make sense? How would you change this? And then she gives me feedback, and then we modify some more or what have you. We probably should do that a bit more with our staff. I do sometimes include our staff, our managers. I'll say, hey, what do you think about this? Or is this a good way to do it? We can maybe make that a bit more formal. We probably should. Not a bad question. It's something to think about. Take the input of your staff, take your input of co-owners, whoever else is important in your business for sure. Does that answer the question? Am I free? Anybody else? Oh, Tommy, No?
You're
Right.
free, Chad.
3,
You're
2, 1,
free.
done.
Thank you so much, Chad.
Thank you,
That was
guys.
great.